Hi, welcome to another episode of Inside CG. I'm coach and manager Ricky. I'm joined today by coach Dina, and we're just going to talk a wee bit about our backgrounds so you can get to know us a wee bit more. Dina, I know you said you grew up doing martial arts. I don't actually know much about your background besides that, so tell me about it. Where'd you start? How'd you end up where you are now?
All right, well, I did grow up doing martial arts in Texas. So I grew up in California and Texas, and my dad's one rule for whatever we did as a kid was one of those things had to be martial arts. So we got into something called Kuksulwon, which is a Korean martial arts. I got my first degree black belt when I was 17 and competed in tournaments and all that kind of stuff. I moved to Australia when I was 18. I've got two younger brothers, and they were still in school. So the rule is if you're in school, you had to do martial arts. And they joined up at a Zendo Kai gym, which also actually had Muay Thai. So they kind of did a bit of both. I was kind of out. I was like, I'm free. I don't have to do this anymore. And then my dad said, hey, maybe you should just try something because you're not really doing anything. You're just like partying. And I was like, fine. Yeah. So I went to my brother's gym in the middle of summer, and it was a Muay Thai class. And I was like, fine, I'll just try it. And I walked in, and it was just a bunch of guys with no shirts on.
Boys club.
And I was like, I've never heard of this sport. What's this sport? I think I'll try it. So I did a first Muay Thai class with like 10 guys with no shirts on, just sweating. And I was like, Dad, you know what? I think I'll sign up.
I love the idea. He's going, no, not there, yeah. Somewhere else.
I was like, you said I should, so I'm doing it. And then, yeah, my brothers were training there. One of my younger brothers actually had a Muay Thai fight. And then 6 months later, because we're not competitive at all, I had a Muay Thai fight. And fun fact, Jack 300, who now is a champions coach at Myri, was my first Muay Thai coach in Australia. So I've actually lived with Jack. I've traveled to Bangkok with Jack, got his tattoo with Jack. I did not get a tattoo at the same time. But yeah, it's full circle now to be back at champions and seeing Jack. He's likes to remind me that I'm not the same as I was in my 20s.
Little peek behind the curtain. I actually found that particular fact out just before we started filming, and my reaction was much better off camera than it is on here. I had no idea about that. Yeah, no, I'm not going to fake that act.
Yeah, so that's pretty much how that happened. Did Muay Thai for 6 years, had 15 fights, and I set a goal for myself. I said, do it for 5 years, do what you can, work around your training, and see how far you can get. And I did. I've got a state title. I fought for an Australian title. I had 4 fights in Thailand, had lots of fun, married a guy from the gym who never wore a shirt. So yeah, and then I had 2 kids and then had to come back to Muay Thai. So here I am.
Nice. Let's just write that down. Don't wear shirts to get girls.
Yeah, if you want a wife, just...
Yeah, right, got it.
What about you, Ricky?
I haven't had that many fights, haven't fought for a title, so I'm not going to lie, feel kind of small next to you all of a sudden. No, I didn't grow up in the nicest area in Scotland. My dad was a champion boxer back in his day, so from 5 years old, he was teaching me to throw hands. That wasn't just for fun, that was kind of a necessity based on where we grew up, sadly. By the time we hit 9 years old, boxing just wouldn't cut it. I needed to know how to use the rest of my body. So we actually tried a couple of different places. I did Jeet Kune Do, Taekwondo, and then found a Muay Thai place.
Was this all in Scotland?
This was all in Scotland. Yeah. This is all in a very short amount of time as well. Found a place called the Wasabama, and the head coach there looked at me and brother and said, all right, jump in the ring with me, show me what you got. And I had a blast. The words weren't all the same, but you know, martial arts have similarities across the board. And turns out I was a bit of that annoying natural at it. My brother was too. So he approached my parents and said, I want your kids to train at my gym. And then they looked at the price and couldn't afford it because we weren't in a very lucky situation. So they were kind of pulling back tears because finally something for me and my brother, and oh no, we can't do it. We were very lucky. He took them into the back room. To this day, I don't know what was said and what was spoken about. I never asked. But suddenly the next day there was a deal. If you have 2 children, we can release this junior program and they can sign up for as many classes as they want per week for X amount, which funnily enough, we could afford.
And that's life-changing as well.
It was.
That was not
It was
many options for you after that.
At age 9, I had already, because of the upbringing I always had higher emotional intelligence than people my age. And I realized at that age, this is a gift. This is not something that comes around to everyone. You're a very lucky person. Don't screw it up. So from age 9 to 13, I was at the gym immediately after school, so 4 p.m. all the way through to 8 p.m., training Muay Thai constantly. With people, I was always a tall, lanky kid, so I was always with people older as well. That was always fun. By the time I was 12 years old, the coach had said, "Hi, do you want to help out since you're always here?" I was like, "You can't get rid of me. Sure, I'll help out." And then shortly after that, he said, "I spoke to your mum. We're willing to offer you like just a job, so you can help, you can coach." And I'd already fallen in love at that point. From there, I noticed a lot of people, they were there for different reasons. It was fun, it was a hobby. Mum said I want to learn to defend myself. That was my reason. But when I say I want to learn to defend myself, and then a young woman says she wants to learn to defend herself, it's a very different reason. So I remember going to Alan and said, "Hey, like point that out to him. There's very different reasons between me and Jessica down the road. So we should offer something to them." And he went, "Cool, you're a smart kid. Have something on my desk by the end of the day." So I was 12 years old,
like 12 years, okay.
and like drafting up women's self-defense classes, and did that. Had a lot of fun with that. Moved to Australia. Actually did a couple of sessions with Pon, believe it or not. And then I can't remember what it was exactly. I think it was just the way I was like super aggressive. I was very Western style Muay Thai and not traditional. And he was like, "I've got a good gym for you. Go there instead." I was like, "Oh, cool. Peace out." And trained from 13 to 17. Same thing. 4 hours a day, constantly. Had to take time off post that because of car accidents, medical issues, injuries, the whole 9 yards. Despite the fact I was a kid and was invincible, they'd all piled up, and I had to stop. And then after 10 years of just kind of practicing on my own and not being in a gym, an advertisement Champions Gym pops up. "Hey, we're looking for coaches." I went, "I'll never get this job, but I'll send it in anyway." And then after a whole kerfuffle of nearly dying, listen to a different episode to hear that, I got the job, and here I am.
Yeah. And we're both back into a place and a sport that we have experienced pretty fully, I would say. Like we got to experience, you've had a few fights, I've had a few fights, and to come back as, I guess, real grown-ups now, like you're 20 years old back then, 17, 18, and now we're here again. Yeah, like the last time I stepped to the ring, I was 16. It was actually really cool. It was 27, 27 here. It was really cool to, I don't know about you, but come back and just, that first clash, it's intoxicating, isn't it? Like you start hitting those pads again, you're watching someone else hit the pads and you're like, "Let me in." Yeah, and it's all like in your head, like you can remember it. It's so nostalgic for me. And then for it to just continue to grow, even now, I honestly never thought that would happen. And then to see it in your members that you coach, I love it. Like I think, "Oh, do I want to fight again?" And then I see someone like Emma come in and I'm like, I want to see her fight. Like I'm just like so happy for anyone to do it and to pass on the gift that we obviously got growing up. To see that in other people is pretty cool. And it's crazy how much your coaching carries down to those people as well. Like I can tell if I come in and coach a class and tell someone to throw an elbow, and then see someone throw an elbow a particular way, I'm like, "Yeah, you've been training with Dina." Like it's crazy just how much they pick up from us. It's mental. And when I hear people talking like a Scottish accent, I'm like, they must have been training with Rikki. So yeah, it's good. And now we're back here, and it's so much fun working with you. And I know, and I've heard through the grapevine, that you might want to step back in the ring. Look, there's no might about it. I definitely want to step back in the ring. This is like it's recorded, so you have to. I have to do it now. I have to. You've heard it here. I know it does often get thrown around this as a younger man's game. People used to retire in the 30s. John Wayne Parr retired at 50. I got plenty of time. I'll be stepping back in sooner rather than later. Look for that, guys. And that's it from us. Thank you very much for listening and watching to this episode of Inside CG. Comment below who you want to hear from next. See ya.